You, on the other hand, and other people, and I would expect people to do the same thing to me. I share my education, I share my work experience, and I share my personal experience. That puts you on another level. So yes, it is important to watch what you say, how you represent it, which is why I went off on you on the last video when you sat there and told people to keep old prescription meds and just take them. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my second upload today. How are y'all doing? I hope you are having a great rest of your Saturday. You see by the title, I'm reacting to the Rewired Soul again today. I'm going to be watching Finally Addressing Leafy Green's drama. But before I even get into all of that, welcome if you're new here. This is Jamie Define K, and I'm Kay. I like to talk about mental health and weight loss. I like to react to the Rewired Soul and Amberlynn Reed because they talk about mental health and weight loss. So if you like what you see, if you enjoy watching me, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. I'm grinding to 100 subscribers. I'm trying to get this platform up and going, so I definitely appreciate it. Like this video if you enjoyed watching it, and always comment down below any suggestions of any other videos, either by these people or other folks that you feel like I might have an interesting opinion or reaction to. Let me know in the comments. If I choose it or if I'm able to do that video, of course I'm going to shout you out. So I thank you so much for being here, and let's get back into this video. So yes, I'm reacting to the Rewired Soul. He's going to be addressing the Leafy Greens drama. Let me just get this all out real quick. It might be a little bit of a lengthy intro. I'm sorry. But first, I want to thank everyone who has commented, liked my videos, subscribed to me, all of that recently. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have sat here and helped confirm that this is what I want to do. This is something that needs to be said. Someone has to say it, and you guys have made me feel good that it's me saying it. I will let you guys know, and I'm always going to be up in front and honest with you guys. I try to come in educational. I try to come in and negate anything that he might say that's problematic or troubling. But always remember, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm just a regular mental health worker, case manager, mental health patient and advocate, and I use my experience from the field and my own personal life to try to educate and fix whatever he might be saying. So yes, I wanted to say that first off. But again, thank you to everyone who's commented, liked, subscribed. I appreciate y'all so much. And so today with this video, a comment reminded me that maybe I should watch this. Had someone on my last video say, oh, him and Leafy Greens are good. And if you don't know, I'm not trying to drag up any old drama, but I will always state this and be honest with you guys. I was subscribed to him because I loved his content at the time. And then this whole Leafy Greens drama happened, and it made me really sit back and look and understand what I was watching and supporting, and then I unsubscribed. And so when all of that happened, there was tons of videos, tons of people had opinions on the way that Chris handled this whole situation, and a whole videos on the way Leafy Greens handled this situation. I went ahead and watched Leafy Greens' video, watched the whole thing. Couple of points I want to make about the video is I give her mad props for getting back on her platform, owning up to the fact that she was not in her stable mental health at that time. She wasn't taking her medications, all of that because of her pregnancy. And I don't fault her for that, because being in the field, I understand that some medications that I've seen it with my own clients that they were on, they had to stop. Even though they were seriously mentally ill, they had to for the safety of the child. So I don't fault her for that, because that does happen. And I give her mad props for hopping on the platform and saying her piece and trying to make amends with those that she felt she wronged. Some parts of it, I feel like I don't think she needed to really take too much blame for, just because, again, when we're talking about mental health, we need to be more understanding and understand. And like I said, that's why I'm so appreciative of her making that video, because she didn't have to, because those who get it understand that that was her in her her illness, her mental illness, having a bad time. The people, and she even stated herself, the people who were trolling her and stuff, that was trash. But I love the fact that she took accountability for putting it on the platform, even though at that time it might have felt right. So I give her mad props for that. So I watched her video. And one thing I will say that I like that she said too is she still held Chris accountable. She still held the Rewired Soul accountable for his content, which is why I'm going to be making and still make my reaction videos to him as long as he posts problematic stuff. Because she even said it, she does not believe a lot of it is great. It's not very helpful. It's not, no, not for what he's trying to push it at. So I remembered that comment. So now I'm going to get into him. I'm going to watch what he has to say, what his response is, and share my feelings, my opinions, my reactions, and then tie it all in at the end. And I want you guys to let me know at the end too how you feel.
What's up, everybody? It's Chris from the Rewired Soul, where we talk about the problem, but
also, if you hear my kids in the background, I apologize. They're home having a good old day. It's the weekend, but I just want to let you know they have a tendency to yell sometimes. So, yeah.
Focus on the solution. And if you're new to my channel is all about mental health. So if you're into improving your mental and emotional well-being, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. All right. And for all of you loyal Rewired soldiers out there, you're like, hey, background looks a little bit different. Yes, my beautiful girlfriend Tristan, my son, and I, we are out of town for the holiday week. All right, so switching things up, brought my camera so I can still provide you guys with some content. But anyways, let me jump into this. I don't know how long this video will be, so let's see.
How long is it?
So anyways,
17 minutes. Okay.
This started
and I
out,
talked
I noticed
for like
I was getting an influx of Prim Inc. audience members coming over, leaving me some hate comments, and I was like, huh, that's weird. So usually that means one of a few things. One, either Prim Inc. made a new video about me. Two, the algorithm is pushing his video out, so a bunch of people are seeing it. Or three, somebody else made a video about me, and yeah, just a bunch of people are starting to come over. But anyways, it ended up, I think it's number two. Maybe the YouTube algorithm is showing him some love, pushing his content out. But anyways, usually when this happens, I'm just like curious, and I search. I'm like, did anybody make a new video on the Rewired Soul? Let me see. And even though I try not to watch them, I just like to see what
he trying to play like he don't do that normally. You do that normally. You do that normally. You want to see if people are talking about you, if you make bad content, or if you get any backlash. You do that normally. Don't play like it was just because you saw somebody. Like, come on now. We're not dumb. And that's why I make this reaction, because there's so many people out there who will take your word for it. Like, oh, he just wanted to see. No, you do that all the time, sir.
What's going on. And I saw that Leafy Greens made a video 3 or 4 days ago, and I was like, uh-oh.
Yes, I didn't let y'all know. This is an older video. He hasn't uploaded since my last one. Maybe he figured out that wasn't something he should have did. So this was a great thing. I was like, hey, since he doesn't want to upload, he's taking a few days off. Let me see what this was about. So this is from November. It is, Thanksgiving.
What is this, right? But I forgot the exact title, but it said like an update about the Rewired Soul drama, and something about an apology. I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. It was about 30 minutes long. I'll link her video down in the description below if you want to talk about it. The long and short of it, she discussed being off her medications, being pregnant, just a lot of different factors, and like, it's such a great video, and I highly recommend everybody go check it out.
It really was good.
I'm actually going to go
I just
check
don't
out some
think
of her
she
other
should
recent
have
content and see it. But anyways, I
took
want to
so
share
much
some of my own
blame. You know
personal
what I mean?
experience with this. Talk a little bit about what's going on between her and I, and the mental health community, and the channel, and everything like that. But anyways, the first things first. Like, I never ever hated Leafy Greens. There's not really anybody I hate at all. But anyways, I appreciate her video. I appreciate her,
Are you going to mention she still thinks you're problematic?
Being willing and open to discuss, what a lot of us are like when we're off our meds. And, this is one of the reasons, I never hated her. Like, I've made videos about this recently where, when other people are affecting us, to remember that we're dealing with sick people, right? Like, I'm sick. I'm a very sick person. We're told.
And that is why I feel like as admirable as it is for her to take accountability for her actions, I feel like a lot of the stuff that she was taking and apologizing for was stuff that as a mental health community or as a community as a whole shouldn't have to been said. It should have already been understood because of it being a mental health issue, concern, medication, stuff like that. And that is why certain people on this platform I have an issue with, is because that understanding should already be out there. It shouldn't be so hard for someone to reveal their symptoms or show their symptomology and receive such backlash, especially from people who swear to goodness that they're about breaking the stigma, advocating, educating people about mental health. That was my biggest problem. Hopefully that makes sense.
Talk about it in a second. But yeah, like working in addiction treatment, I worked with thousands of people who were suffering from the same or different sicknesses as me. And some people, it's a spiritual sickness, whatever it is, right? So I do my best to try to empathize and understand that. But obviously, Leafy Greens has been very open, and she has a channel about her own mental health journey and everything like that. So I'm aware, okay, this isn't.
He's used to it, but when people call him out on his channel, he gets snarky and defensive. When people try to give him constructive criticism, this is where I get annoyed. Says he's worked in rehab and did all of this stuff. You meet people in their lowest forms when you're working in that field or in that situation in rehabs and stuff like that. People who are at crisis locations trying to get back on medications, having breakdowns, things like that. You work with those type of people, so then most likely or not, you've had a client curse you out, call you names, say things, criticize you, do all of that stuff, say things that you didn't agree with. Your first instinct shouldn't be to backlash and talk crap and be like super negative and mean. It should be like, okay, I remember, I'm empathize, all of that. That's how I feel.
And this doesn't mean she's.
Sorry guys, family issues. Let me get back to this video.
Stuff going on, like me, and watching her video, it just reminds me of my own issues, right? So something that's tricky for all of us in this mental health community, mental health genre here on YouTube. It's not just even YouTube, mental health bloggers, writers, everything like that. There's so many of us who are not licensed professionals talking about this, and it has its pros and cons, right? Like, one of the reasons I was good at my job at the rehab center was because I've been through it, right? Not only have I had my own struggles with mental health issues and
which I wanted to share. One of the uploads I didn't actually upload, it had helped because the reason why I wanted to share it was because it helped me figure out kind of like his role within the addiction treatment center. He said peer support. Peer support specialist is a position in behavioral health, which is what we call it out here in Arizona, mental health treatment and substance abuse treatment. We just group it all together, behavioral health, it's all together. And one of the positions you can work and be certified in is a peer support specialist. What that is usually people who are in recovery go to a certification, learn how to talk to people who are in recovery as well, or going to start recovery, and offer them support as someone who's been there, done that, and kind of help guide them along that journey. So if that helps you kind of understand a little bit more, I'm just guessing now. I don't know this man's life or anything. I'm going off of what he put in one of the videos that I didn't end up uploading. It's from when he was talking about the dude going back to rehab. He stated peer support. I took from that, okay, could have been a peer support specialist, which makes sense as to why I don't take him talking about groups too seriously, but I can get why he might talk and behave the way he does. It's not as deep as he tries to play it.
Trauma and my addiction, all that stuff, but it gave me the ability to connect with people in the treatment center, and now you guys, my audience, on that level of like, listen, I've been there and I get it, right? So that's one of the benefits, but one of the drawbacks is we're not licensed professionals, and that's something I'm currently pursuing and everything. Like I'm almost done with my certified alcohol and drug counselor training. My overall goal is to get a PhD in psychology, but that's a whole financial issue with because y'all know how expensive college is. But anyways. So all of us who are mental health channels, like, we get into this conundrum, right? Because we're sharing from our own personal experience. We share about a lot of the stuff that we go through, and we're not all the way well.
That's very true.
And like, first off, when it comes
We
to
are
medications,
all work in
some
progresses.
of you have
I'm a
seen my
work in
videos.
progress.
I've made
I
videos
still
about
have
getting on my medication, getting off my
issues
medication,
with,
the process.
my medications, making sure my cycles, and having insight and understanding of what my symptoms look like. We're all human. But that's what makes it so great, is the fact that so many people have mental health concerns. It's normalizing it, that we're all talking about it and sharing our experiences. But it's also important we always remind that we're not licensed unless you are licensed or a doctor or anything like that. It is important to make sure you state that clearly, but it's also very important that you don't represent information as if you are, by diagnosing someone, putting diagnoses on people that you don't personally know, or haven't been part of their treatment, so you wouldn't know if that's something that they might be diagnosed with. That's my issue. My issue is, you are on here, even if you are sharing your personal experience, you specifically tout your education, you tout your work experience and your personal experience as to reasons why you give this information, but you give problematic information. Those who are just sharing their personal experience, I go to you and expect just you to speak from your personal experience and what you go through and normalize it, share symptoms, share all of that. You, on the other hand, and other people, and I would expect people to do the same thing to me. I share my education, I share my work experience, and I share my personal experience. That puts you on another level. So yes, it is important to watch what you say, how you represent it, which is why I went off on you on the last video when you sat there and told people to keep old prescription meds and just take them. So you're still missing the connection. You're not in that category. You're not part of the Leafy Greens Bipolar Corner. Hey, Bipolar Corner. I just found his channel too, but I digress. You're not part of that because they're speaking from their own personal experience. You are someone who is speaking from personal experience, work experience, education. Figure that out. Get that in your head, why you are held to a higher standard. And I know I would be, am going to be held at a higher standard because I work in this field every day. This is my career. I advocate about it, and I also am a patient. So you're going to get all sides, and I expect people to hold me accountable if I say stuff that could be problematic for the community as well. So miss me with that.
I go through with talking to my doctors and everything like that, and I'm currently back on my medications.
Because there's nothing wrong with that. There's
for
nothing
a few months
wrong
now. But yeah, when I'm off my medications, I can act like a crazy person, right? Like, whenever I'm working with my doctor to wean off my medications, one of the first things I do is I tell Tristan, my girlfriend, I say, hey, if I start acting different, let me know, all right? Because Leafy Greens did a great job talking about this in her video too. Like, we're struggling with a problem up here. So like, when we're
She did so good. She really did.
Up, it's hard for us to be self-aware about it, right? Because our mind is convincing us that everything's justified. So, Leafy Greens being back on her meds, and even she talks about missing her meds the other day, it gave her some of that awareness, right? And we're able to sit back and be like, whoa. So
it was a learning experience.
I was on my medications the whole time, but like, for me, it's a combination of different things.
Of course.
Like, yes, I can.
You're different. You're different somehow. You were on your meds. Supposedly, you have this education. You have this understanding to where you're on this platform trying to look at things and give a solution, but yet, for some reason, you're different. Do you see what I'm getting at? What he just did right there? Well, no. You literally, I can't.
Really different when I'm off my medications. Uh-oh.
So then you're just an
I'm not really
a-hole.
going to be editing much, so sorry about that siren. But even though I wasn't off my medications that whole time, like Leafy Greens, like any other mental health channel out there, like, I'm just another guy. Like, I'm another guy going through my own struggles. I have, some more experience in my recovery than some people, or just working in a treatment center. I'm a big nerd when it comes to mental health and psychology and philosophy and all these other things, and I try to discuss the things I've learned on this channel, and I try to learn from others. I'll touch on that again in a second too.
And again, as you're touting all this, it sounds very good, but not even 2 days ago you put out there about taking like, come on now. We're not buying it.
Like, one of my biggest issues is my ego. Like, in recovery and a lot of 12-step programs, some of you who are familiar with 12-step programs, you know this, like, they talk about how when you're in the meeting outside, your addiction is out there doing push-ups, right? So we always got to beware. Whenever I hear that, what I think of is my own ego. My ego is my number one enemy. My ego will lead me to a relapse. My ego will lead me to being crazy on my own mental health channel, all these things. Like, my ego is my biggest problem, and it's something that I'm constantly working on. So I made a video a few weeks ago about like how I wasted the last 6 months of my life, and a lot of it was just purely ego driven, right? Like, when I'm getting
to work on that, now that you're going to have health insurance and stuff like that, get back in therapy and fix it, because you're still having issues with that. You have people who are sitting here giving you critiques, real critiques, to try to help, because that's where I get mad, is because I love people going on here and trying to advocate and talk about mental health and share their experiences and bring a light to this thing that's always kept in the dark. I love it. And that's one thing, like I said, I subscribed because I wanted to see more of it on this platform. But you are held to a higher standard because of everything you just said, your education, you're further in recovery, this and that. Yes, you're a normal person, but when people are giving you critiques, you need to understand you have this platform that you're trying to teach and educate and share things with. You need to be able to take that and let that ego go to the side and try to look at, maybe I did mess up. But no, just as of 2 days ago, you're still being rude to the people who are bringing their critiques to you. And I'm sorry, it's not just everyone's picking up on you or ganging up on you or anything like that. No, sir. The things and information that you are sharing, even if it's just what you think is, oh, I'm just a man talking about it, well, then let's never mention your work experience again. Let's never mention the fact that, that you're in recovery and this stuff. Don't mention that. Just share, I'm in recovery and this is stuff that I've learned through my personal experience. Don't tout books. Don't tout your work experience. Don't tout none of that up on here if you don't want people to look at you as a knowledge, as someone that they can turn to for some good factual information. Take that away, then everyone will understand that it's just you speaking personally from your own personal experience. But you won't do that because, again, your ego.
I get really defensive.
Yes, you do.
I get obsessive, right? And that's where I was the last 6 months. And like, when I talk about obsessive, like, I'm not talking about just ruminating thoughts. I'm talking like I wanted to understand. I started reading books on like crowd psychology, mob mentality, all sorts of, like, I wanted to understand why this happened, what we could do to fix it, all these other things. Like, that's how obsessive I get. But I had this clarity, and it wasn't from, getting back on medications, because I was taking those. It was this kind of spiritual clarity. Like, for me, rather than getting off my medications, I've discussed this many times before, it's getting off of my mental health journey track, right? Doing all the things I'm supposed to do, being the person I want to be, acting the way I want to act, or, need to act, not only for myself, but to be an example for others. And I completely botched that for 6 months. And I've apologized to you guys, the audience, for a while. So I can definitely relate to Leafy Greens and what she went through, and I absolutely 1000%.
What makes me mad is he doesn't take accountability for the fact that people were addressing him because of him putting diagnoses on people, or because he gives information that is incorrect or problematic. Like, you went too straight. I read books about crowd or mob mentality and this and that, thinking he's still putting the narrative as he was the victim of what happened in that situation. Like, what? No, sir. You got all of this because of the fact that, again, as much as you're trying to push this, oh, we're just sharing our personal stories. Okay, then never mention your work experience ever again. Never mention the fact that you're going to school and getting the education ever again. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just go off of your personal experience, because you're not a victim here. Because during that time and continuing on now, you are still telling your experience. You're still sharing your education on why you know this and this is why this is happening. That's what you're doing. You're not a victim. You're someone who should have known better and got called out and caught and talked about on it. That's what it was.
Empathize with that. So towards the end of her videos, she apologizes to me. And Leafy Greens, if you watch this, I'd love to comment on your video. Like, reach out. I'd love to talk in private. But yeah, like I apologize as well. Like the stuff that went on.
She apologized for how she handled the situation, but still, and that's why he's not gonna let y'all know, but still stands by the reasons and what she said. She says it still, that she doesn't, the platform is still a mess. Like, come on now. Let's be honest about it.
On between her and I, it turned into this massive thing, and like it was completely the opposite of why any of us do this. Like, I didn't hop on YouTube and make a mental health channel to have all this drama and divide this mental health community. You know what I mean? But anyways, in Leafy Green's video,
No,
she
you did
discusses
stuff
how
to
she's
get your numbers up, to get your subscribers up, to start profiting off of this. That's why all of that ended up happening. That was your push to get big, and you're still doing problematic stuff, just not as big, because now you're at a pretty decent number, and the people that have left or who aren't dealing with you have left, and now you have a pretty, like you say, loyal fan base of people that don't know any better or might be newer, who came in after you made that great switch that you really haven't made a great switch to. Like, that's what it is.
Still stands by, you know, some things she said
Yep,
in her
she
original
does.
videos
And
about me and everything like that. She doesn't believe in it ethically and all that stuff.
Nope.
And that's
Still to this
totally
day.
fine. And like the way she said it too, I can see this change and growth in her that I'm trying to pursue myself. Where it's kind of this awareness of we're not always going to agree on things, right? So, like, for example, right now I'm reading this excellent book. It's called Saving Normal, and it's written by the author, not the author, but he headed the team that created
this book. There you go. This is why you get treated the way you do. Just go off of personal experience, bruh.
Created DSM-4, right? And I'm really learning a lot about the divides within even the psychiatric community and everything like that, right? And what I try to think about is our overall goal is to help people, right? And we don't all have, but a lot of us have different ways that we're going about it. So, like Leafy Greens and I, or me and, you know, other people, we might not agree on the methods, right? So when I got into my obsessive kind of trying to learn about everything, and some of you know this, like, I really dove into moral psychology and moral philosophy. I wanted to learn more about ethics and everything like that. And I wanted to understand it. Now,
you did all that research, and yet you're still putting up content because you can't have it both ways. You can't sit here and say horrible, problematic stuff and expect people to just be like, oh, but he's only speaking from personal experience, and then turn around and say, but also I read this book, I worked here, I've done this and this. It, like, where's the disconnect that you don't understand? You built this platform off of the guys that you knew what you're talking about, that you understand the topics you're talking about, that you are above a regular person. You're above a person who's just on here sharing their experience. That's how you were able to get your name to fame, so to say. So you can't sit here and swear to goodness now everyone just needs to be like, oh, it's just his personal experience, after you've done damage and are continuing to do damage.
my motives with it, if I'm just being completely honest, is a pretty honest video. I
Pretty
wanted to
honest.
learn more about it so I
Words
could
mean
prove people
things.
wrong.
Yep,
Right?
you
I wanted
did.
to make videos talking about the subjectivity, you know, because a lot of times when morality and ethics are brought up, a lot of it is presented as black and white, a lot of it is gray, you know what I mean? And instead, I'm just taking that in as my own personal knowledge. I'll make content when I find it relevant to mental health, but you know, I just realized that other people are going to have different views, different opinions, and this thing isn't as black and white. And I think, you know, the best thing all of us can do is just sit down and have conversations about it, you know, and try to see both sides. Like, this is something that I'm really.
Take your own advice then. Take your own advice. When people come to you and are like, hey, this is an issue, don't snap back at them. Or what is snap back? I'm old. I mean, don't clap back at them when they're trying to bring you criticisms. If he ever watches any of my videos, I don't want him to get butthurt. I want him to sit down and truly look at what I'm talking about and why it's a problem. If you don't want to be held to this standard, then take away all the stuff that you use to put yourself above the regular person. But you won't do that.
Really trying to do, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to go about it, because I wouldn't be sitting here alive today if I wasn't open to criticism or suggestions. Like, that's the only reason I'm alive today, because I had to do that in my early sobriety. So
Go. I'm recording a video, please. Go in with your brother. Thank you. He's my youngest.
I have some things that I'm working on, and just I'll
My baby.
let you guys know about them soon. But yeah, I'm pretty much going to put myself through the ringer and find a bunch of people who tell me things that I might not necessarily.
He just wanted to
like
get in
hear,
my video.
But, you know,
I'm sorry. Oh, he distracted me for a second. I'm like, what is my little man doing? He just wanted to be nosy. He just wanted to be nosy.
I want to have conversations and just figure out how I can, you know, make videos the best way I can, how to write, you know, my mental health blogs the best way I can, and, you know, be empathetic and try to see all sides of the situation and everything like that. So if Leafy Greens and I talk, you know, maybe we'll discuss, you know, these things. But, you know, just real quick, like, one of the ways that I've learned, I mentioned this in a video the other day, but one of the best ways that I've learned is learning from others, both mistakes and successes, right? Like, when I was in 12-step programs, I learned from people's mistakes, like their relapses, as well as other people's successes, like their years of sobriety or months of sobriety, whatever it is. I learn from others, right? I'm like, how can I learn from this?
Watch my videos.
One of the reasons
I'll help.
I started to kind of switch my channel was like, hey, here's an example of some
as much
context.
as I can.
Maybe you relate to this YouTuber. Let's see what we can learn from them, right? And, you know, I never try to be malicious or hurt anybody, you know, in my content. Sometimes, you know, that does happen, though, and I try to minimize that happening unless I'm just completely off my rocker, which I have been. And I've mentioned this before too, and I talked about it in my book. I've reached out to any YouTuber who has been hurt or offended by anything I've ever done or said, you know, to try to have a conversation. But yeah, that's never my intention. All right.
No, you just did it for views.
Like I said, like Leafy Greens and I might disagree on certain ways that we tackle mental health subjects. A great example is, you know, the controversial diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. I love educating myself about that and seeing all the different angles and sides of it and everything, you know, and this is something that she's made some great videos about, you know, and that's one of the ways I educate myself more, is by hearing other people who have been diagnosed and, you know, choose to not accept it or choose to get another opinion and everything like that. I also read a lot of books on it and everything, but
yet you had recently did a video with it in your title talking about borderline personality. I want to react to it, but I have a feeling I'm gonna be mad. Let me know down in the comments, you guys, if you want me to react to the video. I think it's one with Trish. It was during the Trisha Paytas, Gabby Hanna situation. I saw the borderline personality in there. I didn't want to do it. I was just like, let me go to a newer video, but let me know below if you want me to react to it, because I have my own personal feelings about borderline personality disorder. I kind of want to see what he has to say, but with that whole situation, it is a very controversial actual diagnosis, and I can understand why she went so hard on it as well. So let me know below if you want me to react to it. I'll definitely do that for you guys, because I was itching to do it. I think I might anyway, but let me know. Let me know. Let me know.
At the end of the day, we're all just trying to get on here. I think our main goal is to educate people and to help people, right? To educate people, help them understand what these mental health issues are like, what's going on in the world, and the other thing is to help, right? How to deal with it, how to cope with it, how to deal with a loved one who has mental health issues, all these other things. So those are our two goals. At least those are my two goals, right? And I'm really trying to focus on those two things, because the last 6 months, a lot of it was very selfish, self-centered, egotistical, gearing my channel
But it's still
towards
going on.
different
It's
things
still
like,
happening.
screw cancel culture and all that stuff. Like, that's not what my channel's about. My channel's about helping all of you guys, and I am trying to just connect dots and say, what's the best way to teach people these things? How do I combine education and entertainment? Because those are my favorite types of teachers, right? People who could teach me by taking situations that I can relate to. People who can teach me things by being a little entertaining and slipping in some humor and all that kind of stuff. And we all have different teaching styles. We all have different ways that we learn and everything like that. Like some people, like for example, Dr. Todd Grande, very smart, well-educated man. Obviously, not only is he...
Again, tout names, big names to show that you're educated. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Let me just let you finish. You have like literally a minute
educated
left
than me,
or so.
but him and I have very different styles. Then you have somebody like Katie Morton, right? She has her own specific style, right? She's very bubbly and everything like that. That's her style. And there's a whole bunch of different people out there who are going to watch the content that resonates with them. But I do hope that we can all, just come together and try to help people as much as possible. But anyways, again, I appreciate...
There's the pandering again in this video. Oh, let's come together and help people in the process. I feel like I'm helping people by telling them what the problematic things that you say. That's how I'm helping people. That's how I'm using my platform to help them, educate them about mental health, because your education is giving problematic advice and ideas to these people who don't genuinely understand and think you really know what you're talking about.
Leafy Green's video and seeing and hearing about her awesome journey. And Leafy Greens, if you're watching this, congratulations on your beautiful, beautiful little baby. And yeah, hopefully we could talk in private sometime. But anyways, everybody, stay tuned. Even though I'm out of town, I will be obviously making some content and everything. But yeah, also follow me on Instagram and Twitter.
Okay. So then I also wanted to show you guys that they had a comment from her. Okay, so then you guys, I saw that she had actually came onto his page and commented. So I'm just gonna read it really quickly. Thank you for this video, Chris. There's a lot to say, but I'll keep it simple. I think you've been targeted unfairly, and the fact that the bullying continues to happen is beyond uncalled for. You're free to make whatever content you want as long as it doesn't violate YouTube's community standards and your content doesn't. Obviously, we all have and express our opinions about each other's content, but once you frequently address your views and yet continue to harass and target other creators, I feel the crosses into bullying. And frankly, I feel gross that I ever took part in that, especially the Twitter side of things. I was like, whoever could roast you the hardest, the king of this weird Twitter subculture of the day. Of course, karma turned around, got me, and the Twitter folks that I've been rallying with turned around, exposed, and canceled me. And the sad thing is that they're still doing it. I apologize to them and clear my side of the street, but I don't condone ganging up on people who have already been punished enough, and you never should have been punished to begin with. It shouldn't have crossed into the vicious territory that it did. Thanks for hearing me out and for making this video. I'm glad that months later this could come full circle. It seems we both went through some serious pain and also learned a lot as a result. Again, she's better than me. She's better than me. And this is the reason why I'm just going to wrap up this video because I know it's kind of long. His entire video, I feel, is just malarkey. Ew. But I feel like his whole entire video is just him capitalizing off the fact that Leafy Greens made this video, semi-apologizing to him about what had occurred. Like he said, she still sticks with things that he had said and but she just didn't like things that had followed after it with people going back and forth, stuff like that. I don't believe that she needed to apologize as deeply as she did. The part in her actual comment right here, I do agree. A lot of people going back and forth like that is horrible. That's not fun. But I think that her initial calling out of him was warranted and was needed because he's still doing the same things. It's just not as on such a big scale because a lot of the people who unsubscribed during this whole ordeal because we saw his game, we saw what it was and how problematic and actually very contradictory his like videos and statements he tries to say about educating and teaching people are. We've left and now he's 80,000 strong. So that means there's people who have came and filled in that place, right? So I think with him, this is my biggest problem is you can't sit here and swear to goodness that you are just a man sharing your personal story when you have built your platform in explaining as to why you know more and should be taking more seriously. And I'm not saying the folks that are on their platforms just sharing their personal experience shouldn't be taken seriously because they should. We need to see what symptoms look like. We need to see what it looks like on everyday people, the different faces, the races, no matter your gender, your skin color, anything. Mental health affects everyone and we need to see that and we need to normalize it. So we do need to take them serious. But you sat here and built your platform off the fact that you have education, experience in the work field, and personal experience to where that made people look at you differently and take you a little bit more seriously as an educator, as someone who is explaining facts, as someone that they can take seriously to help them in their own journey. Yes, we can take those other people serious because it's like, oh, wow, now I know what symptoms look like. Maybe I relate to that. Maybe that's me. I'm not the only one who's suffering with that, and it normalizes it. But you built your platform off the fact that you have all these little credentials that you're trying to throw around and say that this is why my content, why what I speak about is a little bit more palatable. It's something that you really should be paying attention more often to because this is what I know what I'm talking about. So don't come on this video and swearing to goodness because now that she's at a good place, she's back on her meds, she's stabilized, she's baseline, she's feeling great and she feels like she needed to apologize and handle that situation. Now, don't come up on your platform and pander to other audiences who might came over from her and say, yeah, we need to stick together and do this and that and not and say, oh, we are all it's our personal experience and we're not this and this, but you tout the education and the info that you feel would make you more important. That's how you built your platform. So we can't sit here and swear to goodness that now all of a sudden we're just going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, forget about how he built this up. He doesn't have the education. It's all just personal experience. He doesn't have the working experience. It's all just personal experience. We're not going to do that. And that's just like I said in my video. I wouldn't expect people to do that to me because I've come up on this platform and shared I have experience, I have education, and I have personal experience. I work in this field, I live this field. So I expect people to hold me accountable as well if I'm out here giving problematic information, if I'm telling my subscribers to handle their mental health in a way that could be unsafe. Like she said, it does. And then she said it perfectly in her comment. You're not violating YouTube's services, but who's to say you're not violating just other things morally when dealing with mental health? Who says that you're not violating in other ways? Just because you're not violating on YouTube doesn't mean the content you're putting out isn't violating other people in ways that we can't even imagine in their psyche. I'm going to keep bringing it up because it made me so mad. Like I said, I just did in my video with your meds. You had a whole point of talking about how meds aren't a magical pill. That was a great video you could have had right there. But you leading into it, you advocated and basically told your subscribers to take their psychiatric medications as if not the way they're prescribed, or keep old medication because if you run out, you can switch over to this and all, just bad advice. And you know better. So don't sit here and swear to goodness that now because she's able to take accountability for her stuff, you can turn around and switch it to where you're still somehow the victim. You're still, I'm just sharing my personal experience. No. Well, then, like I said, don't ever bring up your work experience again. Don't ever bring up your education, your mama's education, none of that. Don't bring it up. Go off of just your work, your personal experience. But it ain't gonna happen because that's how you built your platform. So that's how I feel. Let me know, you guys, how do you feel? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Do you get where I don't feel like Leafy Greens needed to do such a big apology the way that she did? Because there should be that understanding that she is someone sharing her mental illness and share in that she is, like he said, a sick person. I am too. Do you think that that her apology was exactly what was needed, or do you think she went a little too far like I do? How do you feel about my comments about Chris? Do you think that he's trying to pander and make it seem like, oh, he's just talking about we shouldn't take it so hard and understand people are different? Or do you think he lost sight that you built your platform on education, your personal experience, and your work experience? Do you think he should be held at another level, or do you think we should switch it to, oh, it's just his personal experience? Let me know down in the comments. I definitely want to know. I want to hear your guys' opinion. How did you guys feel about this video, about his video addressing Leafy Greens? How do you feel about the fact that she won't talk to him in private? She posted a long comment on his video. Do you think that means something? If you like this, give my video a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Hit that bell so you can be notified every time I post another reaction video or any other video I post on my channel. I'd love to keep you around, see you in my fam. I appreciate all of you guys for watching, commenting, all of that engagement with me, you guys. I love it. I thank you so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.